What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's the Game Week 24 preview. As always, go onto Twitter and YouTube to get your topics and questions going into this week. Got most bases covered, as you can imagine. A lot of this revolves around Liverpool players, triple captainships, and the double game week in general. So got all that covered, as well as a few other bits, including captaincy. The video has been sponsored once again by OneFootball, so if you want to try it out, it's completely free. Just search for OneFootball in Android, iOS stores, or just click the link in the description below. That'll take you straight through to it. All your football news, team news, lineup news for all the midweek games, live scores as well. So everything you want as an FPL manager. Give it a go, it's completely free. Just try it out, let me know what you think. Otherwise, we will jump into this one. So first up, let's talk about using the triple captain this week. I think a lot of people are doing it this week. I don't think you need too much convincing, but there are some people out there who may be still questioning whether to use it or not, whether there might be a better game week, a better differential game week, etc. So I think for sure, obviously, you could save it potentially for later on in the season. There will be more double game weeks likely in game week 34 and 37. So we will have teams with more double game weeks to come. And obviously, we just don't know which teams and which players are kind of involved at this point in those because they've not been set yet. One thing I think I would say for this chip, and I kind of said this on stream the other day, we had a bit of a debate about it, is do not overthink your use of this chip. All it is worth is just one extra score of your captain. If you captain a player now and they blank, yes, it sucks. Doesn't mean you can never captain a player again. Even if there's another double game week down the line, which there will be, you can still captain a player. You just won't get 3 times the score. You'll just get double the score. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you get your points this week or in 10 game weeks' time. It still adds to your overall rank, and that is all that matters when it comes to thinking about your overall rank. Obviously, if you've got head-to-head or there's a particular mini-league rival you're trying to beat, then maybe it's a little bit different. But in terms of overall rank, it doesn't matter when you get your points. If you're going to get 15 points from Mane or Salah now versus 15 points from Vardy or Aubameyang down the line, it makes absolutely no difference. So I'm definitely going to use it this week. And here's some reasons why, right? So Liverpool, obviously the best team in the league in great form. You do not need me to tell you that. In terms of expected goal involvement for attackers over the last 4 matches, Mane and Salah are in the top 5, both in good form, and obviously defensively Liverpool are in really good form as well. They've still got something to play for. Obviously, if you wait till further down the line, they potentially get a double game week where teams haven't got much to play with or play for even. And you don't really know how that's going to affect them, whether they could still go on and smash teams. They may just kind of be on the beach, as we talk about quite a lot. You don't know which teams are going to be involved. We're not sure which players will be fit, which will be in form, whether they'll be injured or not. There's all this stuff to consider. So for me, I like using my triple captainship early, because you have all the info. I've got all the info now. I know Liverpool are in form. I know Mane and Salah are in form. I know the defence is in form. I know they've got 2 pretty good fixtures. They're probably going to play and not get rested because there's quite a bit of a break in between, as long as they don't play in the FA Cup. And I do think we'll see rotation there. So there's lots of reasons to play it. I don't think many of you would argue that Mane and Salah, they're the 2 I'm looking at using it on, could get 13 to 15 points this week, which is a pretty good result, I think, from a triple captainship. If you think there's someone down the line that might score more, then you should absolutely save it. Maybe there will be a better player to use it on down the line, but do not get drawn into this. If I use it now, it won't be much of a differential because everyone's going to use it. It does not matter. It's just one extra score. If I use it now on Mane and get 15 points, but everyone's captained him, that's no different to me using it on Pookie in a double game week, him getting 15 points, no one captained him. It's exactly the same overall score. So don't worry about that. But it almost feels like right now you're kind of guaranteed a score, and you're really betting on whether you can get a better score later on. So just kind of take the points now or bet on a slightly bigger haul later on, but which could also be a much lower score as well. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it. Obviously, you might have different opinions. If you do, make sure to leave a comment below. Now, in terms of who to captain, that's obviously a whole different story. I only really consider Liverpool players here. I think if you're not captaining a Liverpool player this week, you're probably playing FPL wrong. And even as I sit here on a rank of 648k, I still feel like I can comfortably say that. So Liverpool are the only choice this week. Mane and Salah, to me, are the standouts. Like I said, both look good, or both have been good in terms of underlying stats, expected goal involvement and stuff, getting plenty of shots off, creating chances and all that good stuff. They've looked good on the eye test as well. Even if you take just the Man United match, yes, it was only 2-0. Salah should have scored again. That would have been a Robertson assist. Mane had 1 or 2 chances as well. So they're both getting into good positions and getting plenty of opportunities to score. And Wolves away and West Ham away, Probably not the ideal double game week fixture. And again, for a triple captainship, maybe you'll get a better set of fixtures later on in the season. I think Wolves in particular, they could keep the score down. They could score as well. I mean, no clean sheet for your defender. The West Ham game is really where it's at. And I just think Liverpool, they're just very, very hard to break through at the moment, and still attacking well as well. So it's probably still a good time to use it. But I can see why people might want to save it. But Wolves and West Ham overall as a double game, I think, is pretty good. If you look at expected goal involvement, which I've talked about, so 3.49 for Mane over the last 4 games, 3.27 for Salah, so very, very close indeed. Not much in it at all. I think if I had to absolutely choose right now, like if I could just use my free hit and triple captain in the same week, or if someone gave me a free option to change from Mane to Salah, would I change? Probably would. I think it's just so close. You look for little things to maybe go for one over the other. And one of them is penalties. Salah is on penalties. Now, he might not even get one. Liverpool don't tend to get as many penalties as, say, like a Man United, for example. But if they do, that's a very easy way to rack up a good score. I said that recently for Rashford. Then he got a penalty, topped his score up to 12 points. Jimenez got a double-figure haul at the weekend. One of the reasons for that was for getting a penalty. So Salah has that over Mane. And also, in terms of actually point scoring, he's done a bit better recently. It doesn't necessarily mean because he scored points, he's going to score more points going forward, of course. If I had to switch, I probably would go for Salah right now. But on the flip side, I have absolutely no concerns whatsoever about captaining Mane. He's been such good form for so long. I can absolutely see him getting a good haul as well, even without the penalties that maybe Salah has. So it's extremely close. I think in terms of captain and defender, just not for me. Yes, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a great option. I think much better than Robertson in terms of captaincy because he's much more creative. Obviously, a lot of stuff goes through him on that right side as well. But I just think there is a chance that Wolves will score. Even though I'm going probably for double defence, there is a chance that Wolves score. That's one clean sheet gone. So then you're relying on attacking returns and another clean sheet against West Ham. And I just think if I want to watch these matches, I don't want to watch it at the risk of the clean sheet going and that spoiling my game week. So that's not really a logical reason not to captain Trent Alexander-Arnold, but it's the way I'm thinking. So I'm going to go for Mane. But if I had Salah, I'd be pretty tempted just to stick it on him, I think. In terms of Firmino as well, a good option, but realistically, in any given week, you'd expect Mane and Salah to outscore him, no matter how good he's doing. So who to captain, Mane or Salah for me? I would probably side slightly with Salah, but there's really not much in it. And in terms of which 3 Liverpool players to go for, I'm still of the opinion it's 3 of 4. 3 of Mane, Salah, Trent and Robertson to go for. I mean, Firmino and Van Dijk are still really good options and they're not that far behind, but I still prefer to pick 3 of those 4. And the fixtures after the double game week, we've said this before, they warrant having 3 players at least. Well, that's the max you can have, so you have to have three players. Southampton at home, Norwich away, West Ham at home, Watford away and Bournemouth at home. So really good fixtures. I like the double up in defence because it brings a lot of value. You can use that money that you've saved by not going Salah, Mane elsewhere. Looking at my personal team structure, that does let me do a few things that I want. Maybe a Vardy upgrade, Maddison upgrade, Traore upgrade. Whereas if I get Salah, I'm kind of stuck with those players and not able to maybe move them on to the players that I want to. So that's kind of why I'm looking at it. You could also obviously go double attack, absolutely attack the double game week and then switch later on as well. But obviously you're using extra transfers there. They've had 7 clean sheets in a row, so from a defensive point of view, they're looking really good anyway. Not letting in many chances, and like I said, they've got the fixtures to keep more clean sheets going forward. Even if it doesn't happen in the double, they've got fixtures afterwards for that to happen. And I think it's worth considering Firmino. I think Rashford to Firmino is quite an easy choice as well. And if it was just for the double game week, I'd be pretty happy with that. But you've still got to keep him for the remaining fixtures. And again, he could do well, but realistically, if you had to bet money, you'd be putting it on Salah or Mane, and that is why I would not go personally for Firmino at all. So that's what I'm looking at. 3 of the 4, Mane, Salah, Trent and Robertson. They've only scored more than 2 goals in the last 6 games as well, which may make you side slightly with defence, but it's worth noting that they put 4 past Leicester and they scored well before that as well, and those games were over Christmas, so maybe that's why they kind of went defensively to keep people out, or to keep goals out from the back, of course. And they didn't really need to go too gung-ho over Christmas while maybe they were a bit more tired, etc. And perhaps they're going to get a bit more rest now and the goals will come. Who knows? I think they're such a good team, they can turn on the goals as and when, so that could happen over these game weeks. So all in all, that's a very long way of, I guess, sitting on the fence. I don't really know who the 3 best options are. I'm going for double defence most likely because I think it's the most value. I can only captain 1 Liverpool player. That's going to be Mane. Yes, it'll be horrible watching Liverpool without Salah, but something's got to give. Even if you watch those games without Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they're not very easy matches to watch just because of how good they are. So that's probably where I'm siding. But I think if you had Salah and Mane, I'd be pretty happy with that. I think it'd be pretty exciting to watch the double game week. That's right, we're actually moving on to some topics that don't involve Liverpool, though we'll still give them a mention, I'm sure. So Rashford replacements up first. It looks like he's going to be out for weeks or even months at this rate. He's got 2 stress fractures in his back. I think that's the current diagnosis, so he's not going to be back anytime soon. So an absolute must to get rid of as your next transfer probably. In terms of replacements, it's pretty hard depending on what kind of budget you've got. So the last 4 matches, if you look again at expected goal involvement, Aguero's looked back to his best even on the eye test. Absolutely smashed it, 5 goals in the last 2 games. My only issue is, and maybe I shouldn't be worrying about this so much, is fixtures. Sheffield United away, Spurs away, West Ham at home, Leicester, and then it's Leicester, Arsenal, Man United. Now, there's loads of caveats. You can kind of frame that either way. Sheffield United, well, they've played them once. Will they get the better of them this time? Spurs haven't been great. West Ham's probably a good fixture. Leicester aren't playing well right now. Arsenal are always there for the taking. Man United not playing well either. Missing McTominay, Pogba, etc. And Rashford, of course, is why we're talking about this. But he is a bit more expensive. And I think those that have kind of captained in the last 2 game weeks are absolutely laughing and they've done really well. But you're probably not going to be captaining them too much. And it's quite a lot of money, I would say, for a non-captain. Now, if you've got the money to kind of spare and you're happy with the rest of your team, then you could go for Aguero. I think potentially there is at the moment better ways to spend your money. But he's been a massive differential for people, so I definitely wouldn't rule him out. I think Aubameyang is potentially an option from game week 25. I'm kind of looking in maybe as a Vardy upgrade. Still the same kind of thing as Aguero, that he's so expensive and you're probably not going to captain him in those weeks. But the fixtures look pretty good for Arsenal, so he could be a bit of a differential to go for. Only thing to worry about with him is if Man City get into the Carabao Cup final, then he'll blank in game week 28, as will Aguero as well. So that's another reason to potentially stray off those 2. Obviously, there's a straight replacement to Firmino. If you're happy with him, that's an easy transfer to get your 3 Liverpool players. So don't rule that one out. And obviously, as lots of people have been saying, his stats are very good, especially away from home. So don't rule him out completely. Even if I don't want him, doesn't mean that you shouldn't get him if you think he's going to do well. And obviously, in terms of cheaper options, you've got Danny Ings. I still think he looks like an obvious bet, blank or not, at the weekend. If you don't own him, he seems like a really easy transfer to make. Fixture's very good for Southampton as well. Otherwise, cheaper players, you've got Calvert-Lewin and Deeney. Probably my 2 favourite cheaper forwards right now. I went Maupay last week. Kind of regretting it already. It's a bit knee-jerk, so I wouldn't, I'm not necessarily looking at getting rid of him just yet. But if I was to go again, I'd probably get Calvert-Lewin or Deeney. The stats are great for both of them. 12 shots inside the box over the last 4 matches. Deeney's also on penalties and plays Villa and Brighton in the next 3 and Everton at home. So pretty good fixtures. They get a bit trickier after that. Kind of the same for Calvert-Lewin, but those are the 2 that I would probably look at. You can save some money, put that elsewhere. Maybe that's how you get your Salah Mane double up if that's the way you want to go. In terms of Richarlison replacement, so he is going to be out again this week after missing game week 23, which is a bit frustrating, especially if you held on to him because he was only going to miss 1 game. He's now missing 2. I think the one thing to think about, again, I kind of say this sometimes, is you've got to forget about the game he's already missed. You can't go back in time for that now. You're kind of starting fresh. He's maybe only going to miss 1 more week, and then he'll be back. So potentially you could keep him if you've got a good bench. I think in terms of options, Mane and Salah are pretty good options, but quite a bit of money as well. I would have liked Sarr too, but it looks like he's going to be out because of a hamstring injury. Martial's got a good fixture, Burnley at home this week. He's probably going to be on penalties with no Rashford, but no Rashford is a big miss. No Pogba, no McTominay. Man United's kind of attacking threat is kind of probably on the slide with the players that they're missing. Now, Mata's probably going to get a few more minutes against a team like Burnley, and he can create chances. But if he's on the pitch, there's every chance that he takes the penalties ahead of Martial. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So I would have liked Martial a few weeks ago. I'm not so sure now. If you wanted a double game week player, there's Snodgrass or Noble, but neither of them really inspire much confidence for points for me. Obviously, West Ham could get a dodgy penalty or just a penalty, and that would really help Noble. But realistically, you're probably getting 4 points for appearances. Grealish is probably one of the standout, one of my favourite options for a bit of a cheaper player. 8 shots, 8 chances created over the last 4 games. Expected goal involvement's not that high, so the quality of the chances created and the quality of shots are not necessarily that high, but he's still getting plenty off. He is their talisman. He's kind of probably one of the only reasons they may stay up this year is because of how good he's doing. Obviously, when you got a player like that creating chances, the players around him not so good. It's not like a De Bruyne creating chances for Aguero, Jesus, Sterling, but he still looked really good. Seems to be scoring points in most games. It's very hard not to go for him right now. So I like him, or Trossard if you want a bit of a punt as well. And talking of punts, you've got Lucas Moura and Son at Spurs kind of playing in maybe slightly further forward roles without Kane there. And they've got Norwich and Villa in the next three. But again, they've not really been playing that great recently. Spurs haven't in general. So it's a really tough call for replacements. Grealish is probably the standout just because of how good he's been. Obviously, if you can go out to a Mane or a Salah and double up, then that looks good too. But the other option's not really jumping out at me. Trossard I quite like. I said that last week. Or Grealish. Now, if you really want to take a punt on Spurs, then Moura or Son. But who knows what kind of Spurs team's going to turn up there. So lots of questions on whether we should get rid of Leicester players. Obviously not looking great right now. They're kind of having whatever the opposite of a purple patch is, I suppose. Don't even know if there is an opposite for that. But that's where they're at right now. Not playing well at all. Not getting the results. Vardy not getting the goals. And then 0 clean sheets for what seems like forever. Ndidi out isn't helping, of course. He's probably going to be back from game week 25. But that's when their fixtures get a little bit tougher. I can almost see some sense in keeping Soyuncu if you got him for kind of 4.5 or 4.6 million. I think Pereira and Chilwell are very expensive now to hold on to. There's probably better options out there. Maddison's still creating a good amount of chances. Last 4 games, or last 4 matches, he was 5th for all midfielders. Obviously, he needs a player like Vardy to start converting those chances. Perez as well, getting a good few chances and not scoring too many points either. I think West Ham at home, there's probably bigger fish to fry this week. And there's probably other priorities to make than getting rid of Leicester players against West Ham at home. Yes, West Ham probably a little bit improved under Moyes, and you don't know what kind of performance they're going to put in necessarily. And obviously, Ndidi's still going to be out for this game, so that's going to be a worry. But West Ham at home is not a game I'd probably want to get rid of my players for. I'd rather just keep the transfer and maybe think about doing it next week. I've got all 3, and my current plan is probably to keep Soyuncu because I got him so cheap. Especially if I go the double Liverpool defence route, it means I can play those 2 plus Lundstram most weeks. I don't even really need to worry about Soyuncu. So he's still going to play week in, week out. So he's always on my bench as cover. And when the fixtures get better, and if indeed he's back, maybe that's the time to start playing him again. Maddison, I'd probably look to move on soon-ish. The only problem I've got with midfielders, and it's one of the reasons I kind of looked at Mane Salah, is I'm not really sure where I'd move him to. Potentially Grealish, but I also have Traore to worry about. But Maddison would probably be the first one out of kind of defender Maddison and Vardy that I would look to move on. There probably are other options in midfield you could go for. And Vardy, like I said, potentially a move for Aubameyang in game week 25, maybe a short-term punt there before the blank in game week 28 if that happens. But let's see what he does in the next game. He's still getting enough shots away, obviously. Different story if Pope doesn't save that penalty. We're probably not even talking about getting rid of him. Certainly not before West Ham at home. So I don't think they're must sell this week. But going forward, we probably don't need 3 anymore, even though they could still represent value at some point before the end of the season. So that is it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Subscribe if you are new around here. Hit that notification bell so you know when all the other videos and live streams are happening. Hopefully we'll do a live stream tonight, 6 PM. That's a deadline stream. Obviously, if you don't already know, the deadline is 6:30 on Tuesday. If you're already watching this after that time and you forgot to set your team, then that is unlucky, but hopefully you'll do better in game week 25. Leave a comment below on what I've said, like Liverpool players, who's the best options, who's the best triple captain, are you saving it for later in the season, all that good stuff. And obviously if you've got any questions, make sure to put them below too. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Go and try One Football if you haven't already. Link in the description below. Good luck in Game Week 24. I'm really hoping for a big one. Triple captain joy everywhere, hopefully. Although mostly for Manny, because that's who I'm going to go for. And I'll catch you in Game Week 25. Cheers all.